9:05 to kick things off here on the Local Vibe with our first live guest of the show, Dale Pollak. We know him well. We want to find out what to watch, what not to watch, and thankfully this weekend we can just stay in the comfort of our home and Dale will share 3 new titles for us.
Dale, I'm not leaving the couch this week. I'm telling you that right now.
Good morning.
Well, I think you had enough rain, and now let's all stay dry for the weekend.
I would like that very much.
Yeah, we can all rest up on our couch. Well, cool, Dale. Great to see you as always. We're starting with our first title, Wicked Little Letters on Netflix.
Yes, I stumbled on this film. I hadn't really heard anything about it, and what distinguishes it are the 2 great actresses who give really good performances, and that's Jessie Buckley and Olivia Colman. The story takes place in a small English town. I can't remember exactly when the period was. It was earlier in the 20th century. And basically, everyone in town starts getting very nasty, obscene letters from an anonymous source. And this film doesn't really keep you in suspense. You know who's writing the letters pretty early. So it's really about the social implications of what the letter writer is doing. And it plays out like a lot of small town. There's rivalries and bitterness and everything else. And it's based on a true story, and the ending is the real ending, and I don't want to spoil it. So this is no great shakes as a film. It has 2 terrific actresses working at the top of their game, and that's what makes it worth watching. I mean, Olivia Colman can just, I think, do just about anything. Yeah. And Jessie Buckley, who's better known on the stage, has really made a strong film impression, several things that she's done in the last couple of years. So, you know, if you want to watch 2 really good actresses at work, this is a good vehicle to watch to enjoy them do their chops.
All right, so total popcorn rating?
3 popcorns, because it's not a great story, but it's still worth watching, I think.
Okay.
The good acting always gets you that extra popcorn standing, I think. It's appreciating the acting.
It does. So we start out with a 3. That's always terrific. What about Defending Jacob? Right. That's on Apple TV Plus, Dale.
You know, I raved about Presumed Innocent a few weeks ago, and I will rave again about this one. And there are some similarities in that the principal character is an assistant district attorney in both stories. In this one, he's played by Chris Pine. His wife is played by Michelle Dockery from Downton Abbey, and she is terrific in this, as is Chris Pine. And he's an assistant DA, and a kid turns up, stabbed to death, and the likeliest suspect is their son. And that's the whole premise of the series. It's what the twists and turns are really well done. This is an extremely accomplished writing in the series, great acting. The young actor who plays Jacob himself, Jaden Martell, is so disturbing in the series. You never know what's really the truth with him. Did he do it? Didn't he do it? And this whodunit really sustains over 8 episodes, which is not easy for this kind of concept. And I think it's one of the best series of the year, to be honest. I put it right up there with Presumed Innocent in terms of a legal thriller that's really as much about the family as it is about the crime.
Yeah. I'm sad that I missed your review of Presumed Innocent because I just started that show, but I have seen this one. I actually really loved it as well. So
Audrey and I need to have a side conversation about, because when we last talked about it, we haven't talked about what you thought of the finale. So obviously now it's not
away
the time,
from me, everyone.
Yes, okay.
But Jackie, you have seen Defending Jacob?
All 8 I agree with your 4 popcorn rating here, Dale.
Terrific.
Thank you. We're always on the same page.
I love being on the same page.
It's like one mind, Dale. It's like one mind, yes.
So this last one is on Prime Video. It's called Cirque du Soleil Without a Net. What'd you think?
Well, you know, COVID disrupted performances all over the world, and the many people who suffered from COVID included performers in live theater and in circuses and everywhere else. Cirque du Soleil is one of the most famous theater touring companies in the world. They have productions in 40 different countries. Hard to believe. It was founded in 1984 in Montreal, Canada, by Guy Laliberté. He still runs it, and it is a global phenomenon. And when COVID hit, boom, the faucet got turned off. 4,000 employees worldwide were laid off by Cirque du Soleil. And what do you do if you're a tightrope walker? You can't go down to the street and practice your art. So you had all these amazing artists who do the incredible things that Cirque du Soleil delivers on, and they had nowhere to go and nothing to do. And were they even going to survive? Could they find a job that would tide them over? So the suspense in this film is not great, because we know Cirque du Soleil is now back to doing daily shows in Las Vegas. But for a while, it was really questionable whether the whole enterprise would go bankrupt. And, this is, I think, an interesting look at how performers had to deal with COVID, how they couldn't pursue their art form and what they did instead, and how the company itself had to struggle to survive. And at one point, it really looked like the whole thing was going to go under. They were going to declare bankruptcy, and there would be no more Cirque du Soleil ever. And luckily, that didn't happen. This film goes inside that whole process and demonstrates how important Cirque du Soleil is and what it gives their audiences, and why it's been a hit in so many different cultures, in so many different places.
Wow. I cannot guess your popcorn rating. A 3 or 4, Dale, would you say?
I'm giving it a 4. It's not a great documentary, but I think the subject is interesting. And these are people interviewed who you normally never get to see or talk to about what they do and how incredibly sometimes dangerous it is and how exciting it is for them and for the audience.
Okay.
Yes.
Or how they, ended up doing those things in the
Right.
first place,
Exactly.
how their path went.
That's what I was
So,
just
very
about to
interesting.
say. Yeah, getting to see them train when they don't have training grounds to do it. It's really fascinating, Dale.
Exactly.
It is fascinating. Yeah.
So I think, it's an interesting film.
Unique people too, I feel like, make up Cirque du Soleil. But documentaries, I love that format. So I'm glad that you showcased one of those this morning for us, Dale.